Hey everybody, welcome to Liquid Lunch on a Tuesday. We're very happy to have Claude Rodrigues joining us here from CT Consulting. I just found out that that's a business you do with your wife.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
So
First, I just want to say thank you for having me here. It's really
welcome.
wonderful to be here.
Yeah, great.
Yes,
so I think you were here, last week or a couple weeks ago for one of our networking
things.
Events,
yeah.
And I wasn't here that night, so I hope you had a good time. And
yes, it was great. Yeah, I got to meet Denise, and she was really wonderful. She kind of gave me a tour around and showed me the ropes here and invited me to come back. So here I am.
Okay, that's
really
great.
Excited. Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about the business, CT Consulting, which is a family business, and what you do and who you do it for. So maybe I know we sort of just started talking before we came on the air, but do you want to maybe sort of just describe your journey to where you are today?
Well, that's interesting. I have many, I call them past lives. So I've had many careers and different jobs. I owned a couple of businesses in the past. I worked for Volkswagen Audi for some time as a salesman.
Where?
Actually in Etobicoke.
Okay.
Queensway Volkswagen. Queensway, yeah.
Because I used to be a Volkswagen guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Still drive one. Yep. Once you get in there, you kind of learn it. You have a love for it, and I was really passionate about the cars, so that was really great.
Yeah.
But I knew that wasn't my life calling. From there, I actually began school here at Ryerson, which is just across the street. So it's nice to be back in the old neighborhood. Back in the old neighborhood. Yep. I grew up in Toronto, and I grew up downtown.
You did?
I did, yeah.
Like where?
Dufferin and Dundas. It's actually Ossington and Dundas, but...
Ossington and Dundas. That's a great little... that neighborhood's really come a long way,
yes,
right?
Come a long way.
It's like a super cool neighborhood now.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But when I was growing up, there really wasn't much of what you see there now.
It was pretty...
very different.
Yeah.
Very different. But it's good to come back. Now I'm in Brampton, so our business is based in Brampton. But I do work with people from all around the GTA. So we do customized training, we do seminars, and we do one-on-one coaching with clients. And we have clients from across the GTA. I even have clients that are from other parts of the globe. So I have people that contact us through our social media channels that want one-on-one coaching, so we work with them as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you were mentioning that... it's really the more and more people are, I don't know if they're choosing to be, but they are self-employed.
Right.
Or they're creating their own businesses, right?
Yeah, there seems to be a trend going in that direction because everybody's looking for the side hustle, or they have a business on the side and they want to do something with themselves, with their creativity. Or
as we were talking too, the jobs sometimes... I mean, a lot of people end up in that boat because they get laid off from their company or whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
That seems to be what we hear is layoffs, right? Yeah. And people are choosing to go in the direction of their passion, hopefully, right, and be self-employed.
Yeah. And as you say, others, they're kind of forced upon that choice because if the job isn't available, they do the next best thing, which is to create one.
And so, and I would think that in many cases, people find themselves in a situation where they know they have to reinvent themselves, but maybe they don't know what they need to do.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that's where we kind of come in. So I've been working with a lot of clients doing one-on-one coaching, and basically what we're doing is we're trying to find where's the clutter in your life.
So is that a good place to start?
It is a good place to start because if you think about it, it's kind of like an artist. When they start with a blank canvas.
Yeah.
If you want to write something, you'll start with a blank page. So really, for a lot of people, they may have a goal, they may have a plan, and they work their way toward getting there, and then they find they don't get there, and they don't fully recognize why. And it's because they're bringing along all of this extra clutter, extra baggage. So when I say clutter, it could be anything like an emotional stress. It could be financial stress. It could be anything that's holding them back, that they're not fully aware of and they're not fully able to deal with. So the clutter becomes something that people kind of avoid or they move away from, and they'll work on what's working, but this clutter is always there kind of weighing them down.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I mean, often if you walk into someone's home or someone's office, you know, if there is any clutter,
yes, you can see it.
Usually is. Yeah. You can see it.
You can see
it. But is that so? That's one kind of clutter, or is that maybe a symbol of other kinds of clutter that those people may be having?
That's why we look for the clutter, because
like physical clutter.
Physical clutter is usually a sign of something else, something that we're not dealing with. But the physical clutter is usually easier for people to deal with because you can see it. It's physical. It's in our space, and we know, okay, it's there, and I need to work at it. And then eventually, if we can't, we'll hire somebody else in. So if my home isn't clean and I can't get to it, eventually I will hire somebody to come and clean the home, because if you don't, that buildup gets in the way, and you just can't function. Now, the clutter that we mostly deal with, apart from that, has to do with what's stopping you. Sometimes we have some limiting beliefs that are stopping us, and they're cluttering our way to get to where we want to go. And it's not as easy to see that because it's not physical. So we could have an emotional issue, something that we're holding on to. There may be some values and beliefs that are not in alignment with where we want to go, and they're kind of cluttering the way. And we're not aware of them because, again, it's not a physical thing, and it's not easy for people to notice what it is.
So how do you approach that whole issue as a consultant or a coach or a mentor?
Well, generally we'll sit with the client. We'll have our first meeting, and within that first meeting, through a series of questions, we begin to find where that clutter might be. So we'll look at, because generally people have a sense for what might be stopping them, and usually they don't advertise that to the world because it's not something that we want to talk about. We don't want to talk about our faults or our downsides. But when we're getting into this situation, we're looking to help them and move them along, so people are a little more open, and through some probing questions and some exercises, we can get to what's stopping them, because the clutter usually indicates an area. So it's not always the clutter itself that's holding them back. There might be something deeper that they're unaware of, but the clutter gives us clues as to.
No, you're talking about physical clutter?
I'm talking about mental and emotional.
So mental and emotional clutter can point to deeper issues. Right?
That's right.
Now, how do you, I mean, for example, what would you, as you're doing this process, like, what do you call clutter, mental clutter or emotional?
So we look at what are your core values and beliefs. A lot of times we don't stop to think of what they are, and we don't put them on paper, and we don't write them down or actually voice them to really see what they are. And through exercises like that, people come face to face with, well, this is what I believe in, and now we can look at where do I want to go, and we may notice that they're not matched. So it'd be very difficult for me to get to what I want if it doesn't match my belief system. So if somebody has a belief system that says, money is evil, and they want to start a new business to make a lot of money to support themselves and their lifestyle, they're going to run into a little bit of a problem, because money is evil kind of goes against what they want to do if they want to do something good. So we look at areas like that or situations like that, and then we can dig deeper to figure out, well, where did this idea, this belief arise from? And a lot of times it's not even a belief that we created, it's a belief that we adopted from someone else. Maybe somebody in our family, maybe somebody in our environment, maybe a close friend. It could have come from an experience that we've had throughout our life which caused us some serious pain, and we say to ourselves, well, I don't want to go through that again, so I'm going to avoid money at all costs. And then years later, unaware, they want to build a career, they want to build a business, they want to build a life, a family, and this situation, this instant is holding them back.
So like, for example, are you finding that there are, in many cases, like a certain kind of clutter or a certain kind of issue that tends to come up a lot for a lot of different people?
Money definitely is always on the top of the list.
But isn't that just a symptom? It's not the cause?
It's not the cause, for sure. So that's why we start to look at that. So the money idea begins to clutter up people's lives. So they'll say things like, I'd like to start that new business, but I don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
Or business is going well, but I just wish I had more money than I can expand. Now, they could do all of these things already without the money, because it's not the money that's required. If you have the will to do it, you'll find the resources for it. Mm-hmm. And if you have a really great project and it's of value to people, people will show up and the money will be there. But adopting a belief like that or having a belief like that will hold them back.
But is that always the case? I mean, I've encountered people too. People talk about the law of attraction,
right,
or they visualize the money, or
yes,
and I've seen people that they go into business, going into it with a certain level of faith that it's going to work out because they believe in the law of attraction or whatever, but and that because they're doing what they're passionate about, or what they believe that it's going to work and fall together.
Right.
And in some cases, at least, it doesn't. It doesn't fall together. It falls apart because it's kind of a wishful thinking almost. It's like it's not a grounded. I don't know. It just doesn't work out. Like it's that the law of attraction isn't working for them, or something like that.
Right. Well, sometimes that's because of not fully understanding how the law of attraction works.
Yeah.
And the law of attraction is kind of a process. Mm-hmm. We have a thought, and that thought leads us to adopt certain beliefs and certain rituals. Mm-hmm. And as we adopt those certain rituals and beliefs, we begin to take certain actions. And as we take those actions over time, we develop an ingrained habit of doing that. And then eventually we become the person that will get that result. Mm-hmm. And if we don't understand that process, then, it is a bit of wishful thinking. Because a lot of people, they look at the idea of just do it. Just take action, just do it. Believe it and do it. And it's really not so much just believe it and do it. And I get how people see that, because when you achieve something, doing it is the last step before you achieve something. Mm-hmm. So we talk about let's do it and you'll achieve the goal, but there's a whole bunch of steps that came before that, which was becoming the person you needed to be to really attain that goal, and then to keep it. We focus just on the doing part, then what happens, there's a lot of people, and I speak for my own personal self. I mean, I've had all of these past lives, as I was saying, these different careers, and it's because I was very focused on the action. Mm-hmm. Just do it, just get it done. So I get involved in one career, or get involved in this business, or get involved in this project, and I'm working at just doing it, but I didn't stop to figure out that there was a whole process before that, which was, am I doing something that's in alignment with who I am and with what I'm about? So all of that action, yes, it led to something, but it didn't lead to my fulfillment and my happiness and me fulfilling my purpose.
Right. So it's like, I know that you're working on something. I don't know what stage it's at, but you're really working on helping people to design their lives, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
And I guess that's a great. It's almost like that's what you should start your whole education out with, that question, even from when you're a little kid. Is like, okay, so of course you're going to learn along the way what you like, what you don't like, but it just seems to me, even now, I ask people that come into my. I think I even asked it this morning with maybe somebody here at the office. It's like, so what do you want to do when you grow up, right? Even if they're already adults, because I think there's a lot of even adults that
don't know.
They're not really sure what their mission in life is, or what they're really here to do.
And that almost becomes a loaded question in a certain sense, because when we come into this world, we come into this world with this already pre-programmed DNA. Centuries of things that have happened before us tell us that this is the world, this is how the world works. Our body's already, pre-programmed to work in a certain way and to do certain things. We all know that when we're born, we're going to walk at some point. And then we have all of these influences from the people around us. So we have parents that influence us, teachers, friends, media, all of these communities that say, this is how things are done, this is how you should do it, this is how our culture works. So trying to find what our purpose really is in the middle of all of that noise.
Yeah, because often we're told, you can't do what you're dreaming of doing. You got to do this.
That's right.
You got to think about the money. You got to think about the money. How are you going to pay the bills?
Build a family. You have to follow these rules. Pay your taxes. Do this. Do that. And it becomes a challenge. So as you say, a lot of adults end up not really knowing what their purpose is, because essentially all of us, we want to be a part of a group. We want to be a part of something, but at the same time, we want to be unique. We want to have our own individuality, our own creativity, add our own spice to whatever happens. And it becomes challenging to figure out, is that really me, or was this some influence that I had at some point?
Right. Yeah. So then you, as a consultant that's helping people work through these issues, how are you able to identify what maybe they truly want versus something that they've kind of been programmed to want for themselves?
Yeah.
Because
that's
as an individual, it's even hard to put the finger on that yourself.
True. This is kind of a lifetime's work for every person. We're here on this planet to have all of these experiences, and through that we learn about ourselves and we begin to identify what we like and what we don't like, and we're kind of driven by that. I like this, I want more of this. I didn't like that, I want less of that. So through our process, once we identify the clutter of kind of what's stopping us, the next step, we kind of figure out a plan on how to get there. And before we can do that, one of the things that we do is we walk people through where they've been in their life. Where are they currently right now? And only then can we talk about what does the future hold for us. Because for most of us, the future is only dependent on what's happened in the past. So our past experience tells us what we're capable or not capable of doing. And really, we're capable of a lot more than we believe we are. But for that, we first have to release what's happened in the past. So we use a lot of techniques, like meditation is one of them, to bring people into the present moment. Once you're in that present moment, you become focused on what you're doing currently right now and who you really are right now, then you can see what the future holds. And then at that point, we're going to help them to create a plan to move forward.
Now, I'm just thinking, it's like even if someone is very clear about what their mission or their vision is, whatever, if you're going to be, correct me if I'm wrong about this, okay?
No, go ahead.
But if they're going to be successful, whatever that means, whatever they're doing has to kind of fit in with what's going on in the world.
True. Very true.
Because if I want to provide a product or service to the world, well, if there's no demand for that,
right, it's not going to work.
Then it's not going to work.
Yes.
So it's kind of, you know what I mean? I don't know how to.
In a sense, yes and no.
Yeah.
If you look at the computer industry, Apple computers, I've read a lot of stories about how they, Steve Jobs used to say, create it and then we'll find a use for it. So it's almost like they created this computer, and now what can we do with it? And then suddenly everybody wants one, everybody needs one.
Right.
So there is an element of, you can create something that's not of value right now because people don't know what the value will be in the future.
See, that's a great point. I like that. I was actually trying to make that point this morning, but it's kind of like then it just becomes a different problem. How do you convince people that what you've got is going to be of value to them?
Mm-hmm. True.
Then that becomes like
So really, no matter where you are, even if you have a clear plan, there's always some setbacks, or there's always things to work out. So even when we think we know exactly where we are and what we're doing and what we're supposed to be doing, we'll then have experiences that help us to understand there's something more. There's something beyond that, because life is a constant unfolding. So we're never static, and we can't stay static.
Yeah.
We're constantly growing.
It's like a website. It's never coming. It's under construction.
True. So true. So true.
So now, who would you think your typical or your ideal client would be?
Lately, I've been working with a lot of people that are in the process of starting a business or have just started a business. Because usually you're wanting to figure out, you're asking yourself a lot of questions at that point. What can I do? What are my strengths? How do I get this off the ground? So that's typically been my clientele. I'm also working with a lot of people that are maybe changing careers. So they don't want to be self-employed, but they're looking to do something different, something out of their comfort zone.
Maybe they don't even know what they want.
True.
I mean, I don't know if you ever get calls like that, but somebody that just got laid off, they don't know what to do. Right? I don't know.
I actually just spoke to a gentleman on the weekend about that, and I kind of went through a similar process. So when I left my last job, I knew I wanted to start a business, and I wasn't fully clear as to what that would be. I just knew I had this passion, this desire that had been sitting there for a long time. And I wanted to do something that was meaningful and that made a difference. So I went through a whole process to figure out what that would be. That involved interviewing people that I've met before, interviewing family members, people that know me, to figure out from their perspective, what do you think my skills are? Where have I provided value to you?
Really? You did that?
I did that, yeah.
Getting feedback from friends, families?
From others, yes. Wow. And then a lot of internal work to figure out, well, what does this really mean to me? Where do I want to go with this? Because in all of those places that I've been, the common denominator was, whether I was managing people or working on a team or whatever the case may be, I was always the person that everybody came to ask for advice. I was always the person that would lend a hand to help someone to do something. I was always the person that would maybe question or challenge something in a different way, just to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So what I developed through all of that was this very unique skill of being able to have people question their belief, question what they do, question what's happening to get them to make the shift. So if somebody's stuck and they want to find a new career and they just don't know if they can do it, or they're not sure, whatever, my greatest skill and my greatest value is in being able to help them to make that shift, to do the right questions, the right exercise, the right processes. And I have a lot of that, which I've been through. So I bring that value to the table. So I have my own personal experience to guide them through that. So the gentleman I was talking to on the weekend was going through that. He had been in the same career, I think he had said, the past 15 or 20 years, and suddenly he was laid off. And now he's kind of been doing nothing for a number of months and not really sure what he wants to do. So we're going to work together to sort that out.
I would think that there's quite a few people in that situation. I mean, and not just people who are getting laid off, but even people who are, like, I'm just thinking about, maybe mothers who've been raising their kids and now they want to... They want to do something, in the career world a little bit, and maybe they're not sure, but they feel they need to do something.
That's actually been a big, demographic for me. People who have just had children, or who are reaching that point of their children are now old enough that they're going to go back into the workforce. I've found that a lot of my clients are wanting to start a business, or while they're on maternity leave, or even just shortly after, so they want to be able to spend more time with their children, be at home, don't want to do the 9 to 5, but still need to support and contribute to their families. So I have been working with a lot of people in that situation, and it brings a lot of value, because most people, they may have a skill, but they don't really know how to apply that to a business. So we do a lot of that as well.
So is it fair to say that you start with this looking at the clutter in their lives, and then that leads to, I guess that could lead in a number of different directions.
Absolutely. It can lead in another number of different directions, but usually people have an idea of the direction they want to go in. And they're not quite sure how to get there. Or they've been working at it for a little while and not having success, not sure what's stopping them.
So that could be that's a whole other potential audience for you, are those people that are maybe already doing something, but they're stuck or they're blocked or something like that.
And usually that's why we start with the clutter, because if we're going to do something, and we're going to launch ourselves into a new business or a side hustle or whatever it is that we're going to do, or a change of careers, it's always good, as I mentioned before, if you're going to create a new painting, you want to start with a blank canvas. So let's clear up some space.
Okay. So, now, when you're doing this, when you're meeting with these people, do you meet in person, or can you do it online? Or
I meet in person, usually if they're within the GTA, but I do online as well. Some of it's over the phone. We can do it through Skype. So location really isn't an issue. But I prefer, if we can, meet in person.
Well, there's always more...
more connection,
communication. I was going to say, right? Lots of
it's a richer experience. For sure.
And what would you say that say the value or the unique gift that you would bring to this process versus, say, another consultant or coach or mentor?
Well, as I was mentioning before, I think the unique gift that I have is a keen ability to get people to challenge their beliefs and challenge what they're currently doing, their behaviors, their thought patterns, which will help them to make the shift. Because if we keep doing what we've always done, we'll continue to get the same result.
I've heard that.
And it's only when we do something different that a new result can come.
Okay, so for people who are watching this right now, this is what I think is like, people, they get to know you, and if they're resonating with what you're saying, then they have the opportunity of getting in touch and maybe beginning the process. What is the best way for people to start that process?
You can get in touch with us, send us an email or call. If you want to send us an email, just a quick introduction, maybe let us know what currently you're working toward or what the goal really is, so we can get an idea or a feel for what that's going to be. And then we'll set up a meeting, again, whether it be in person, whether it be over the phone, whether it be by Skype or so on. And it's really just like a half-hour conversation to really define what that is and to see if there's a fit, because that's really important.
Because and that just seems in so many things, whether you call it fit or chemistry, right? You just want to have a good working relationship with people that you're working with, right? So, and is there anything else you want to just let people know about that maybe we haven't touched on? Maybe I didn't ask the question, but is there something else that you want to let people know about?
I think that's it. I feel like if you've resonated with me or you want to find out more, come to our website, have a look, give us a call, get in touch. We can meet over coffee even. I like to just share ideas, and if there's something that sparks, if there's an interest there, if you're just even in the beginning of thinking of wanting to make a change, give me a call.
Okay, and of course people can check out the website ct-consulting.ca.
Yes.
Right? Okay, Claude. Well, this has been great.
Thank you.
To have you back here in the studio
Thank
and
you.
have this conversation, get to know what you're all about. And for people out there, of course, if they're resonating, maybe they need to overcome those obstacles
Absolutely.
or get to the next level.
Absolutely.
They know how to get in touch.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks.